Hey, I'm Todd Sepulveda, the editor of Prepper Website and the host of the Prepper Website podcast. And this is another 5-minute prep. Hey, everyone who wants to live a more self-reliant life knows that they need water. Water is so important. And you should stock water at the very least. You should have 1 gallon of water per person per day. And that's at the very least. But water is very heavy and it is bulky to store. So even if you have a well, eventually at some point, it's very possible that you would run out of water and you would need to find another source. So one of the things that you can do is utilize online maps to look at your area to find other water sources. So maps like Google Maps or even Bing, Microsoft's version of Maps, and there's others out there, will allow you to dial in your address and then look at a real live picture of it, right? And so you'll be able to zoom in and look around to see where there are water sources. You might be able to find pools, backyard neighbors' pools, that maybe at some point, if they're not there, you could use that water. I mean, you couldn't filter that to drink, but you could filter that, or you could use that to flush down, the toilets if they're still operable and still working. But you can look for ponds and you can look for streams and rivers. Sometimes those are hiding in areas that you don't even realize they're there. Now, if you're in a rural setting, that's a great thing to do. And definitely, I remember looking at my dad's property, I found a pond that wasn't too very far away, but I wouldn't have never saw it if I wouldn't have looked on a map. So if you're in a rural setting, you could probably get away with a very decent water filter, something like the Hydro Blue VersaFlow, definitely like the Berkey and some of the other water filters that are out there. However, if you are in the city and you are looking for ponds and retention ponds and things like that, man, that's going to be a little bit scarier because people put so many chemicals in the ground and on their yards, and all that stuff kind of runs down and it gets into those. So you're going to really need to filter that really carefully. You're going to have to probably distill it. You're going to have to spend a lot of time, and all that stuff takes time and energy to be able to do, and to be able to do that correctly so you don't wind up getting sick. So that is a 5-minute prep. Look at your area and see if there's any water sources that you might be able to use, even like a water tower that you might not know of, or maybe you never really thought about. Maybe even big buildings, and you can use a Silcock key to get in there and open up some of those faucets and be able to get water, drain some of the water from those pipes. That might be possible. So here's a pro tip. If your plan is to bug out in the event of an SHTF situation, one of the things that you can do, and of course, if you know your route, you know where you're going, and you should, one of the things you can do is get on one of these maps and you can follow the route that you will take. A couple of different routes possibly, but follow the route that you would take and see if there's any places along the way, because again, water is heavy and carrying water is going to be very heavy. So you want to find places where you can refill your water out there while you are bugging out. So look for ponds and rivers and streams. Look for, again, water towers, possibly even buildings. Again, you want to carry a Silcock key in your bug out bag so that you can open up those faucets. And I think that's a really great thing to do if your plan is to bug out, or let's say you're taking a trip, a family trip, and you just want to be aware of where big water sources are. That's always a good idea to do.